Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Halfback Dynasty. My name is Brendan. We are joined today with our co-host, Tyler. Tyler, how the heck you feeling, my man?
Brendan, I'm feeling fantastic, man. We got the draft behind us. You and I we had some fun on draft night. You got every landing spot done, free agency done. Still could be some movement, but hey, teams are taking shape. You're either real pleased coming out or, man, your assets lost some value coming out of that one.
Hey, I have to tell you, as an NFL fan of the Chicago Bears, fantasy football aside for a moment, I am freaking pumped with how that draft played out. So, as an obligation, as a Bears fan, I have to select Justin Fields with every single pick I have it across all formats, no matter how early or how late. It's just the golden rule.
Agreed, man. I think you got to go all in. You got to sell out for them. But that was fun being on with you when that happened. That was super cool. So obviously, you said you called it at work. You were having a beer with your folks and everybody after work. You called it, which was cool. But man, it's so fun when the assets go to your team or, somebody actually lands where you want them to. But, it's nice to have all these mock drafts behind us. They're all over the place. But, hey, they hit pretty well on a lot of the picks early, As much as we trashed the Pitts at number 4, Chase at 5 made no sense. Hey, man, shows what we know.
I can't recall a more accurate mock draft. Well, okay, I mean, obviously we were looking at multiple sources, but a lot of them were fairly similar in that first round. And it was pretty spot on. And one thing that a lot of people said, including you, was that the Patriots would move up to draft a quarterback. Well, guess what? They played everybody yet again because they did not need to move up to get their quarterback. Bill Belichick's just a G. He's like, I ain't giving up anything. I know Mac Jones will land at me at 15. So it's tight, man.
That's crazy, man.
Gotta give him credit.
Mac Jones going to Alabama means he's probably the best player in the draft. He'll probably be the best quarterback ever. And then my claim to fame, much like your Fields call, was the ATN to Jacksonville.
And you know what? That seems more out of the ordinary than Justin Fields going to the Bears, because here I was thinking that why are they going to waste a premium pick when they have a running back who performed at a top 5 level and he's on a contract that is dirt cheap, an undrafted free agent contract entering his second year. It's just, you didn't need to fill that running back position. You didn't. You could have used that and gotten probably a superstar at literally any other position. I don't want to say superstar, obviously players hit or miss, but you could have literally used that second premium pick you had in the first round on somebody that would have actually helped instantly. ETN, even if he performs at a top 5 rate, that's not an upgrade to what they had last year. It just blew my mind, man. I guess they're trying to make Lawrence comfortable.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. You got Lawrence and ATN, the Clemson combination there. Tua and Waddle. I don't know why I can never say his name.
He's too fast, bro.
Alabama connection. Hurts and Smith, Alabama connection. It's just, there was a lot of connections,
Yeah, I figured that Urban Meyer would have some sort of approach in terms of coaching a college program is a lot different than coaching an NFL program.
Oh,
and clearly he was in an ideal situation because they have so much cap space and they had really good picks in the draft. There's really no better organization that you could step into with this type of setup to enter as a head coach. So I will say that I feel like drafting ETN was kind of some college type antics in order to make Lawrence feel safe. But to be honest, not necessarily feel safe or comfortable. To be honest, he's probably going to perform at the same exact level with or without ETN. So I don't know. It was weird. Sorry. Go ahead.
Well, and ATN's, super talented, has a great skill set. I think he's been overshined a little bit by this class. But, arguably last year, even with Jonathan Taylor and all that in dynasty drafts, had ATN come out, he'd have been right up there at the 1-1. So
exactly.
I think it's easy to forget that,
And that's quite interesting because you have guys like Chuba Hubbard as well, who probably would have been a pretty high dynasty pick. And now he's virtually nothing since he got drafted to the Panthers in like the third, fourth round, whatever that was. So that's a whole nother topic of conversation is how do these college athletes decide when to go to the NFL to enter the draft or when do they stay for another year? So it's crazy, man. It's crazy. But hey, let's kind of go in order real quick about the draft picks. So clearly no surprise on Trevor Lawrence. One quick question is coming out the gate with his first year, he has some decent offensive weapons, especially now with Etienne and James Robinson, and then Chard, Chenault. Where do you see him finishing in just a standard 6 point per touchdown quarterback league?
I mean, I could see him pending health, kind of going as Burrow was, kind of Mayfield's rookie year. I could see top 12 very easily.
Okay.
He's got assets around him. Interesting wide receiver core. Obviously, a coach that maybe could help him transition. I mean, maybe he's got a little bit more of a college mentality. So top 12, I could see very easily,
Yeah, I would. I mean, if that's the over/under in terms of where he finishes in the quarterback position, I would probably bet he finished better. I mean, 12 seems it seems not out of the ordinary. So I'm really excited. So is he your undeniable 101 in a super flex draft?
Oh, no question. I mean, you and I were talking a little bit before the show. It's amazing how long people have been waiting for Lawrence and SF, and there's certain websites that now have Lance above him. I mean, it just goes to show that once these guys get here, I don't know if it's for readers, if it's for, readership, things like that.
It's good media.
But I'm sure within a month, next year's 1-1 will be way more valuable than Trevor Lawrence. It's just that's why we love Dynasty. We see it every year. So
Sure.
Yes, Lawrence 1-1, no question asked in super flex. And I saw a ton of posts today. If you're going to trade that, it needs to be a haul, and it should be way more than just picks. I would want at least one known asset, one top known asset for Lawrence, because his value, if he plays well, is going to go. He could
Patrick Mahomes level, bro.
Yeah, he could leapfrog Mahomes in theory. I don't think that happens, but we see it all the time. Some of these rookies go through the roof in their offseason. Look at Jonathan Taylor, had a good but average also running back year, and the guy's arguably the 1-1 for a lot of people in a single QB league. So I mean, the rookie, it just goes through the roof almost every year.
Sure. And to give perspective, I own the 101 in a league where I have, it's a super flex league. I have Tannehill, Darnold, Akers, Dobbins, Judy, and like Marquise Brown. I have the 101 and the 102. And no doubt I'm going to take Lawrence, but to give some idea, I threw out a couple offers of the 101 for Herbert plus, and it was close but no cigar, but that's because the person giving up Herbert didn't want to give up a known asset for an unknown, even though I think Trevor Lawrence is probably the safest unknown asset coming out of college at the quarterback position the past decade. So, just throw it out there. I would not be trading that pick regardless. I'd rather draft him and sit on him for a year and let his value increase even more rather than take, the 105 and the 107 for the 101. So
agreed. I mean, Lawrence is Andrew Luck. He's safe. You've been waiting for him, and he's here.
You have to assume that he's Andrew Luck until he's not, in my opinion. So, Cool, man. Okay, moving into picks 2 and 3. First, Zach Wilson, no surprise there. Honestly, I'm sure he's going to be okay. Sam Darnold 2.0, who knows? I mean, he's obviously in a better situation than when Darnold was drafted there. So I'm interested to see. The kid looks good. I'm rooting for him. I don't think he has the same upside as Lawrence, nor the same upside as Trey Lance. But I feel like he's just going to be a steady, he seems like a steady QB2 throughout his career. I don't know. I'm not too excited about it, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I think he's there's so much upside in Fields and Lance. He's much less exciting. So I think if you're looking for a guy that hopefully is safe and starts for a long time, I would gamble more on Wilson. If you're looking for massive upside, Lamar Jackson, where maybe he has terrible throwing games, but still scores twice on the ground, gets over 100 yards, then go with Lance or Fields.
Sure. Yeah, so he just seems like a pocket passer, and
Yeah,
he'll be good. I mean, he's number 2 overall pick for a reason, and yeah, a lot of times these guys bust, but they also have a good chance to succeed. So we'll see what happens with him. But yeah, that brings us to arguably the first difficult, unpredictable pick that everybody was speculating about. That's pick 3, the San Francisco 49ers. They selected Trey Lance, quarterback out of North Dakota State. Tyler, this is where things got a little foggy because we had no idea if they were going to go Trey Lance or if they were going to, for some reason, make that move and take Mac Jones. Clearly, they went with Trey Lance, who I think obviously is a lot more. He possesses a skill set with a lot more upside than Mac Jones. So I actually really like the landing spot in San Francisco. I mean, I really like Kyle Shanahan. He's had some good quarterback projects. The kid is clearly not developed at all. So I'm a little spooked out when people are now making the argument Trey Lance is the 101 in Dynasty football over Trevor Lawrence. If you look at his film and his experience, yes, he's good, but he has not played that much, and nor has he really shown that he is capable. He's shown that he can be coached, but I don't know. This seems completely situational on how Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers organization develops Trey Lance. That's my opinion. That's boom or bust.
Yeah, I mean, you and I kind of called it when we were doing it on air that you don't trade up for Mac Jones. I thought Lance or Fields was the pick there. Like you said, they went Lance. Huge upside. I wouldn't rush this kid. I'd be just fine leaving him behind Garoppolo if they'd end up not trading Garoppolo. But the future's bright. You got Lance. Trey Sermon there now is probably your running back of the future, if not sooner rather than later.
Great landing spot for Sermon.
Yep, great crowded landing spot, but yeah, I like it long term. Brendan Ayuk and Kittle, Debo Samuel. I mean, that's a fun group, and it's a young group. Yeah,
yeah. So
I think Ayuk is the best receiver on that roster. Personally.
Yeah, and we just on both sides of the ball. San Francisco just needs to stay healthy, bro. If they can stay healthy, then they're back in the Super Bowl contending, in my opinion. They have a super young roster. They have a very creative coaching staff. And, it's really knowing the 49ers and Shanahan kind of being aggressive in a sense and being eager. I think they're going to roll Trey Lance out there a lot earlier than most people think. I don't think they're going to bench him the entire year.
I agree. I don't think they will either. When you take a player like this, I know you shouldn't care about your fan base, but at some point, the fans are going to want to see Lance. If Garoppolo has 2 or 3 bad games in a row and costs him the game, you're going to hear it. It's if you can withstand that.
Hey, well, maybe COVID will be going on further, so the booing is kept to a third capacity of the stadium. Sure. So, all right. So Trey Lance there. Just a disclaimer: we both highly recommend you not take Trey Lance over Trevor Lawrence at the first overall pick in the Superflex draft. Boom, we said it. Somebody made a great argument actually on they would consider taking Trey Lance at the 101 if they have a few other first round picks where they could kind of make up for it and try to hit at another position. To try to play some damage control in case Lance isn't what these people think. But Trey Lance is unbelievable hype right now. It's safe to say he doesn't have as much unbelievable hype right now as Kyle Pitts, who was taken fourth by the Atlanta Falcons. But my goodness, they did it, dude. They took Kyle Pitts over Justin Fields. I don't know about that as an organizational choice.
Yeah, it's wild, man. I mean, you and I have talked pretty openly about Kyle Pitts, but I mean, him going at the 4, I don't know what to think about it. I think Atlanta had a lot more issues, but it speaks to how highly regarded he is in the NFL. I still think a very, very early pick on Pitts in Dynasty is risky, but hey, man, I get it. I mean, the guy could easily play wide receiver. He's going to learn from possibly Ridley and Jones. It's crazy, man. He's already the 4th ranked tight end overall in Dynasty. Hasn't even played a down. I mean, obviously people think the kid's extremely special. So I've still tried to talk people off of Pitts, but if he's your guy, go get him. You know, I told you what I'm trying to trade to lock up Smith and Waddle. So if it's your guy, go get him.
Hey, it pushes those guys down one more pick in the draft, so it's all good. It's all good. And just for the record, I'm pretty sure Kyle Pitts is the earliest tight end to be drafted in an NFL draft at pick 4. I think before, maybe it's like modern NFL. I can't remember what I saw, but he's like the earliest tight end to ever be selected in an NFL draft. So pretty exciting. Normally it's like QBs and like edge rushers, and then maybe a couple running backs occasionally. But I think NFL teams have soured on taking running back super early just in case is the injury problem. Okay, so there we have Kyle Pitts. Obviously, take him at your own risk. If it's a tight end premium league, a little bit better, I guess, than taking him early in a non-tight end premium. But do what you want to do. You've been warned. It's all we can do here at Halfback Dynasty. Tyler, this is my boy right here coming in at pick number 5. Jamar Chase, wide receiver out of LSU, going to the Cincinnati Bengals. What are your overall thoughts on that selection?
Also pretty surprising. I mean, I thought the Bengals absolutely should have gone offensive line. I mean, like we said, their franchise got hurt last year early. He got sacked a ton. He had no time, but they drafted a couple rookies, I want to say the last few years, that were injured. So we'll see how they line up on their line. I mean, the pick makes sense. Chase looks like a monster. He would have arguably could have gone higher if he didn't sit out this past season and opt out. So the biggest thing I can say for that is he's very easily in the 1-1 conversation in the single QB league. And all the Higgins owners out there, I wouldn't panic and sell Higgins. I've said it a million times. I personally think those two help each other. Never hurts to have multiple good wide receivers that require coverage, versus getting double, triple covered, things like that. Boyd is very underrated, very good, but I think Chase and Higgins on the outside is much different than Boyd and Higgins,
Yeah, agreed. And my brother and I were talking about this actually too. Arguably this doesn't affect Boyd as much if he's playing in the slot. So if you have Chase and Higgins playing a similar position, then yeah, they'll see a little bit of competition. But this puts the Bengals in a top wide receiver group in the NFL. I mean, this is cold. This is stone cold. I'd probably say maybe the Falcons, but for sure the Cowboys probably have a slight edge due to CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper. But in the next 2 years, obviously Boyd might not be on the team, but Higgins and Chase enter their prime. That's going to be freaking crazy, dude. So I like it. I think it's a good landing spot. You have a quarterback who's willing to throw the ball 50 times a game. But if Burrow goes down, it's over. I mean, Chase isn't going to really produce that much. So, hopefully I think they selected a few offensive linemen later in the draft too. So hopefully they step in and play well. Otherwise, Burrow's in trouble. Chase is in trouble, but I like it. I like it overall. Next up, we got your boy, arguably the best. Well, I guess there's like 4 best players in this draft. Anybody who came out of Alabama is apparently the best player in the draft. So the 101A, 101B, 101C. But we got Jalen Waddle coming out of Alabama, going to the Dolphins. I freaking love it. I thought it was going to be Devontae Smith, but you know what? I like Jalen Waddle there as well.
Yeah, I thought it'd be one of the two of them. I thought it'd be Smith as well. I thought he'd go a little higher, but they were obviously, I mean, they're similar in the sense, but they're also not. Waddle's crazy electric, crazy playmaker. I mean, the comp to Tyreek Hill speaks to his skill set. I think that's very
nice.
Bold.
That's nice.
That's very bold. A lot of pressure to put on the kid, but great skill set. He's going to jump into a great depth chart. Great for him. If he hits, he's their wide receiver 1 immediately. Devontae Parker is not that guy. And I think Waddle gets a little typecasted as a speedster. That kid played all over at Alabama. Short passes, long passes. He can do everything. So I honestly, as much as I like Chase, I mean, you know how much I love the Alabama guys. I don't think there's a clear-cut number 1 wide receiver in this class as of now. People might think that's a little extreme, but I have all those guys very, very close. Could all be very, very good.
I think it goes Chase, then Waddle, then Smith now in that draft order. Reason why, and we'll get to it in a second, is I'm unsure how well Smith will translate on the Eagles with Jalen Hurts. You know what I mean? Same with Tua. I'm not too sure how good Tua will be. I mean, he has the support literally all around him. Offensive line, wide receiver now, tight end's pretty athletic. Running back, surprisingly, they didn't draft somebody. Maybe they'll bring in Bell or someone, or Gurley, but Gaskin's your number one running back on that roster now. So I don't know, man. I think Chase has the best opportunity for production in terms of just quantity of passes thrown on the Bengals offense. But I think Waddle has a really high chance for efficiency, if that makes sense. I think he steps in as the wide receiver one easily, like you mentioned. So that actually brings us to Devontae Smith, though. Drafted number 10 overall by the Eagles. It was clear they were going to go wide receiver. It probably would have been whoever was on the board between those three. Do you like that pick, though? I mean, it's decent. It's decent.
Yeah, I mean, kind of like you said about Waddle, I would have liked to, as a guy who'd like to own both of them, I'd like to see possibly better landing spots as far as QBs go. But I say it all the time, nobody's going to throw for 0 yards. You're probably going to throw for 200 plus a game. Somebody's got to catch those yards. And I think they both fell, Smith as well, into just fantastic depth charts. Smith is their number one out of the gate. I don't know what happens with Rager. He didn't look good at all last year. I don't even know his God, I can't even think of his name because it's been so long since he was relevant. Who's the top wideout?
Travis Fulgham.
Fulgham, I don't know what to
Alshon Jeffrey.
Jeffrey. Yes, Alshon, thank you. Alshon Jeffrey, I don't even know. He hasn't caught a ball in a long time, it seems like. So yeah, I think he landed in a great spot for depth chart. And sometimes with wideouts, it's numbers, man. If you get 10, 11 targets a game, you're probably going to play pretty well,
Mm-hmm.
So
absolutely.
I don't think it's as great from a pass catching or a passer standpoint, but hey, Hurts could easily make a jump, if he's working hard this season, this off season. I don't know. Sometimes I think landing spots with WRs can be overblown and underblown. So I actually like where all three of the top guys landed, to be completely honest. And they all come with their risks, and they all come with, some question marks. I mean, Higgins developed incredibly well under Burrow very, very quickly. Does Chase do that, or is it like a Keenan Allen, Mike Williams thing? Is Higgins the guy for Burrow? Who knows?
We won't know until the games happen. So very exciting to see. And you're right. They landed on good teams with good depth charts that help them either excel into that number one role, or they have other receivers that will open space up for them, such as Jamar Chase. Okay, let's move on. Justin Fields. I mean, this is the dopest pick of the draft, no doubt. I mean, my goodness, who would have guessed that the Bears would have snapped like this? Gave up a 2022 first and I think a couple late round picks, but moved up to get Justin Fields. Absolute banger of a move, my man. I mean, that's freaking sick. And you'll hear me say it over and over again. I think Justin Fields could be that game changer, that spark that the franchise needs to get past the horrible quarterback hump that they've experienced literally their entirety of being in the NFL. I think Justin Fields has potential to seriously be a big dog here in Chicago.
Yeah, man. I mean, that was super exciting. I was glad we were on and got to watch that pick with you. And it was super fun because I was a few seconds ahead of you. So it was cool to watch the reaction.
You didn't ruin it. Thank goodness.
Yeah, it was cool to watch the reaction and all that. And I mean, my biggest question is, does he start out of the gate or do they go with Dalton?
Yeah, I think they're going to go with Dalton because otherwise they'll look like complete fools for wasting $10 million. So they always do this crap, though, dude. Dalton, horrible contract now. Nick Foles, horrible contract now. Mike Glennon, horrible contract now. You have 5 terrible contracts with quarterbacks that lost you like $50 million, and they start a total of like 9 games for you in 4 seasons. It's atrocious, dude. It's so bad. And their money management freaking sucks. So whatever. Who cares? They got Justin Fields. I don't really care right now because I want to see him go big or go home. Even if they're not that good this year, guess what? They got Fields, baby. And it's a good day. I love the Big Ten being in Chicago myself. So it was exciting.
I mean, you and I have talked about the championship defense. I think regardless of money, I think Dalton gets a few weeks, and if he doesn't have it, you're wasting time. You know,
You're right.
You don't
Yeah.
want that defense to age out.
This is probably the last year for their defense to be elite too,
Yeah.
in my opinion. It's probably this year or never. And then, excuse me, their defense kind of sucks for 3-4 years and they rebuild it back up. So let's see, man. It's a big year. It's a test year for them. So I'm excited. But actually,
and no offense to the offense there in Chicago, but you saw what Dalton did with Cooper, Gallup, Lamb, and Zeke. So
yeah.
not great.
He's not the guy. The Red Rifle is not the guy. I repeat,
Right.
Not the guy. All right, let's keep cruising. Mac Jones at 15 to the Patriots. Obviously, Bill Belichick looks like a G, not needing to move up, even though rumors suggested that he was going to snag their quarterback. Get great value there. He's the second top best player out of this draft. Actually, the third. First was Waddle, second was Smith. Now third is Mac Jones. So we've already got the 1C in the draft. I'm excited. He seems like a good quarterback. Honestly, if you're getting drafted to the Patriots, you're probably pretty excited. You're getting put in a high caliber franchise with a really good head coach. So I like it, man. I like it. He could be good. Gonna take a couple of years though.
Yeah, I do too, and I think the Patriots will do it right. Cam Newton's going to play all year. We all know that, and I think that's the right move. I wouldn't rush Mac Jones. You're not rushing him for anything. The Patriots are not winning the Super Bowl this year. You spent a tremendous amount of money, but those guys are now locked up long term. So I'd take my time with Jones personally. Let Newton play. If Newton happens to get back to any semblance of his old form, hey, man, maybe they're way better than you think they are. So there's no reason to rush Jones because Newton has proved he can do it. It's just he didn't last year, you know?
Exactly. I don't see him having that even close to a balling year. Like I kind of picture him being a little bit better than what he was just because he has the 2 tight end set now where he can have a lot of checkdowns and a lot of short gains, which really help him out because he obviously can't throw a ball past 10 yards. But, also with the 2 tight end set, that creates more blocking for him to run. Regardless, the offense is better this year regardless. So,
yeah,
I like it for Mac Jones. You're right. If I were to trust a franchise to develop a quarterback, I'd probably trust the Patriots amongst the most. So, cool. All right, let's move into pick 20 now. Again, if we didn't state this, we're only going to be doing offensive skill positions that are mostly relevant to fantasy football. We could get into, the long snapper choices in the 5th round, the kickers that were selected, but we'll avoid that. Here's pick 20 by the Giants. I kind of thought it was a reach. I didn't really research nor watch too much tape of Kadarius Toney. So I don't really know what to make of this. I just think there was better options on the board with like Rashad Bateman, Rondell Moore, heck, even Tylan Wallace, who got shafted this year, in my opinion. But I don't know, man. I can't really speak too much since good or bad, since I don't really know this prospect.
He's super raw. I watched a lot of his tape. He's very, very raw, has a tremendous skill set, very easily could pan out. I mean, if you get taken in the 1st round and an NFL organization believes in you enough to see that, I think there's a lot there. But like I said, based on what I saw, he's just very raw. It might take some time.
Sure. Where do you see him going in rookie drafts and 1 QB leagues? Is he a 1st round pick or no?
That's really tough, Brendan, because I really dug in. I'm not even very excited about the late 1st this year, to be completely honest. So yes, I do think he probably could. I don't think the depth of this class is very good at all. You had some really tough landing spots as the draft went on. So, I mean, if you're sitting there at the 112 and you're looking at him or, St. Brown or more, I think that comes down to preference. I really do. And again, Again, this is probably the worst depth class from a dynasty perspective I can remember in a very long time.
Yeah, I think if you're talking one QB league, outside of like the top 7 picks, it's not really looking too good, man. Maybe eight, but Superflex
Three
obviously
guys
there's
are
five.
fine.
Exactly, yeah, and there's always going to be people who outshine their ADP, but
Oh,
there's this year the 5 quarterbacks that were drafted in the top 15 picks will kind of carry that quality of rookie picks in the first round, at least in a super flex league. Normally you have like 2 to 3 who kind of will go in the first round. You have an extra 2 who probably are going to go in the first round this year. So
yeah, this was
yeah,
a heavy QB class. It really was. Yeah, I think the late first is a toss up. I mean, even Saint Brown landing in Detroit. I don't think he's a reach at the 112, depending on who's there. I really don't.
absolutely. And there you go. And I mean, you're talking a wide receiver who was picked in the 4th round of the NFL
Yeah, he
draft.
went way later than I thought.
Yeah, so you're talking about wide receiver going in the late first in dynasty football, who was drafted in the 4th round. That's kind of absurd if you ask me. Normally
It
the
is.
first round in dynasty drafts, of rookie drafts, are all players who were typically drafted in like the 1st and 2nd round. Usually there's enough of them to warrant that, but we can't even fill up a full first round of a rookie draft with picks selected in the 1st or 2nd.
Yeah,
It's
and I mean,
crazy.
St. Brown would be a reach, but would you rather have St. Brown who landed in a decent depth chart and with a guy like Goff who, checks down, throws over I mean, look at Robert Woods, that kind of player, or the guys that went to Baltimore. I mean, no offense. I love Lamar Jackson. I mean, he's one of my favorite players, but his throwing at times is atrocious. Look
Rashad
what
Bateman got
happened.
screwed.
Yeah, look at Hollywood Brown, not a good asset. Miles Boykin, I think, even in the right system, could have been a much different player. That's where landing spots sometimes. I mean, Jackson's a way better quarterback than Goff, but maybe not for fantasy purposes as far as throwing goes.
Yeah, let's move on to Najee Harris, the first running back taken off the board. 24th overall pick to the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's really no surprise there. Lots of rumors had the Pittsburgh Steelers drafting him there. I think the landing spot's good if they could build the offensive line. The offensive line's kind of scary at this point in time in the sense that I don't think it can support a top fantasy running back. However, on the other hand, Pittsburgh is known to have good running backs fit their scheme and their offense. So I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, I think, like you said, I'm looking more long term here. I wouldn't expect maybe as much from him this year as maybe you were hoping if you had the 1-1, 1-2, 1-3 kind of range. I mean, if he's your guy, I'd certainly still take him. But yeah, that offensive line literally ranked dead last in rushing protection last year. So I think you got to taper your expectations a little bit, but obviously has all the skill set you could possibly ask for in a running back long term.
Mhm. I also think that he'll get great production right out the gate. His age does scare me a little bit, but oddly enough, in a lot of the positions, a lot of the teams that I'm positioned to take Najee Harris with the 101 in a 1 QB league, my team's actually contending. So he fits my team pretty well, and I'm very stoked.
Nice.
He's my clear cut 101 just due to running back scarcity. I think the landing spot is more than okay. No competition for him. To excel, if there wasn't any running back scarcity, then we both know my 101 would clearly be Jamar Chase. So very exciting to see what the first running back off the board does this upcoming season. Pick 25, we talked about this earlier. We definitely have an interesting pick here with James Robinson already being on the roster. Jacksonville Jaguars select Travis Etienne. Yeah, can't really be much of an upgrade from what Robinson did last year, but maybe he'll be good for Lawrence. I didn't really like the position or the team he was taking, the team he's going to. I didn't really like it in a sense that I don't think that they're going to cut James Robinson out completely, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think they'll both get touches. Obviously, ATN has a really good skill set. He's going to make a lot more money than James Robinson. So we'll see as the season goes on how much they fade Robinson, or maybe they don't. Maybe they run kind of two running back system. Robinson catches the ball very well as well. So I don't know. It didn't change much for me with ATN, to be completely honest. He was the second best back in the class. I think he remained that. Obviously, Williams fell to a pretty good spot, both maybe short term and long term, but I still have ATN ahead of him. And it's kind of like Higgins owners. I've seen a ton of posts about Robinson. What are you going to sell him for now? There is absolutely no reason to panic sell James Robinson. If you wanted to sell Robinson, the time was before the draft.
You could have gotten a first for him.
Yeah, the time was probably last year. So to be completely honest, it was a gamble to hold him. It was a gamble to move him. But if you held him, keep holding. There's no reason to move him now. You're not going to get anything. And there's no telling how the workload pans out or if ATN is a better running back. There's no telling at this point.
The stock is low. The James Robinson stock is low. It can't get any lower. No reason to sell at this time. Cool. Yeah, I got him at the second best running back still in this class. Now we're moving into a wide receiver who I think got hosed into a poor landing spot. I was really excited to see where this kid would land. That's Rashad Bateman, wide receiver out of Minnesota, going to the Baltimore Ravens with Lamar Jackson throwing to him. I hate the landing spot. I don't think he's going to be that good. Fortunately, it's another 4+ years for either Lamar to leave the organization or for Rashad Bateman's rookie contract to expire. I don't know, man. I think he's going there to die.
Yeah, obviously not the best landing spot. Has a nice skill set, so maybe he translates. I mean, a lot of this is referring to Boykin, Hollywood Brown, Willie Snead, all these wide receivers that have been there that maybe didn't have the skill set for Lamar. I mean, you would have thought Hollywood Brown did because Lamar throws a great deep ball. So interested to see how it plays out. I mean, you and I were talking that, yeah, he's probably still a first rounder, but I wouldn't be as excited about him as I was. You and I talked about it as well. You and I were both never really super pumped about the back half of the first round anyways. He was always a back half first round guy to me. So, I mean, I wouldn't overthink it. He's still a very, very good prospect. Take him maybe where you wanted to take him. But if you were going to take him in the top 5, maybe, because some people were super high on him, I wouldn't do that.
Agreed. I think this pre-draft rankings of him is very similar to post-draft rankings. He doesn't really get any higher, and nor does he really get any lower because there's not many people behind him that moved up. So, yeah, I don't like the landing spot. Yeah. Hey, I mean,
not
what?
A bad depth chart, though,
Yeah, he'll have opportunity, and maybe the Baltimore Ravens don't want Lamar Jackson to get absolutely killed running the ball, so maybe they make some changes. Who knows? Tyler, so that really concludes the first round of the NFL draft for skill players or skill positions. Real quick, I actually just wanted to touch on a sneaky draft pick due to landing spot. Elijah Moore, who was picked in the second round, second pick. It could be good going to the New York Jets. I kind of like that. I kind of like a rookie wide receiver coming in with a rookie quarterback that both could develop. But the last guy I wanted to talk about is Javonte Williams, being the third running back in this fantasy class and in this draft class, obviously. 2 questions I have for you. Is he trustworthy on Denver with Melvin Gordon still on that roster? And secondly, you as a Denver Broncos fan, what did you think of the pick?
I thought it was a good pick long term. No, I think you run Melvin Gordon into the ground. I think you bring him along slowly. I think Williams could be a change of pace back, kind of a pass catcher, but Denver, I view it kind of like Mac Jones with the Patriots. Denver's not winning the Super Bowl this year. They're not playing for all that much to be complete. They're not a good team. So why rush a kid along when you have a perfectly capable running back? Melvin Gordon's still a good producing running back, both NFL and fantasy. So if anything, I viewed this as a great chance to ask if you're desperate for running back, ask the Melvin Gordon owner what he wants for him. Because, we talk about it all the time. As soon as a rookie's drafted, they're the best player ever. It's going to crush everybody's value on the team. We see it every year. So I kind of looked at it in the reverse. If you're a rebuilding team and you're mid-ish to late first, sure, I would take Williams and be perfectly fine stashing him. But if you're a contender, I'd be asking about Melvin Gordon.
Sure. Yeah, I'd probably pay like a late second for Gordon, honestly. If it's going to throw me over the top, give me that extra spot, hey, man, it's worth the risk. Considering in this draft class, there's not many picks. There's not many players probably that are going to be that valuable with that pick. So could be good, could be good, could be bad. But Tyler, that's going to conclude it. You know, we had some interest in doing a rookie mock draft, but I'm down to do it now. Or if you want to save it for a different episode, maybe we could run a couple different rookie mock drafts. You know, we could run maybe 3 to 4 and simulate them, see kind of what happens if you're down.
Yeah, man, I think based on kind of when we started, we got a few minutes here. What if we just do, for those listening, we got a special episode coming up on Monday night. We were going to have 2 guests on with us that host their own podcast, and we'll kind of let them explain that when they're on. But what if you and I just do a quick 1 first round draft of just the rookies, just you and I, and then we'll do a much deeper dive into a rookie and or startup draft with our special guests, you know, even if we make it a little bit longer episode. But
sure.
Let's do a first rounder. And just to explain to everybody, we're going to make this based off our Brendan and my ESPN draft or league, excuse me, which is a 1 QB, but it's 6 points all around for passing, touchdowns, rushing touchdowns. Any touchdown is 6, including quarterbacks. You start 1 QB, 1 RB, 1 WR, 1 tight end, and 3 flex. No defense, no kicker in this league.
Thank goodness.
So we're going to be doing it. Yep. We're going to be doing our first round based on that. And I'm only going to speak for myself, Brendan. I'm going to draft as if this was my actual team.
Okay.
So could be some picks that, you know, people wouldn't make. So
wait, so do you want to rotate picks, or do you want to just, how do you want to do this?
Yeah, let's just I'll give you the 1-1 and we'll switch off.
Okay. Yeah, so in a 1 quarterback league, start 1 running back, start 3 receivers and 2 flex? I can't think of it. Is it 2 or 3? I think it's
1 QB, 1 RB, 1 WR, 1 tight end, 3 flex.
3 flex. There we go. Okay. I don't know why I thought 3 receivers. Well, basically I start 3 receivers every week.
Are you going to pull up the board?
Let's do it. Yeah, I'll pull up the board. However, for those of you listening, obviously you've probably heard of Fantasy Pros, a really, really solid website to host mock drafts. They have a draft wizard that I'll pull up actually right now. That's really good in terms of ADP and just getting an idea of where these players will go. You can actually change the settings as well to mimic your league. So here we go right here. We've got Dynasty. We got rookies only. So Tyler, we'll only get 1 pick per round, and we'll kind of see. Basically, we'll pick, and then it's going to simulate the rest of the round. But we can at least go in and give our advice or who we would take. I think we should rotate picks, in my opinion. So you want me to start, though? Okay, you want me to take the 101? Because you know who I'm going to take.
Go ahead and roll it, man.
All right. So, oh, shoot. Hold on. I picked the 2 quarterback. Let's change this setting real quick. We're going to do 1, 1, 1, 3. I love it, dude. I love the flex spots. So legit. All right, here we go. So at first you probably saw Trevor Lawrence was the number 1. Like the experts agree to pick Trevor Lawrence because I had it set to 2 quarterbacks. But now, obviously, we're not in a super flex mode. So Trevor Lawrence is not the consensus 1. So Tyler, so what's going to happen is once I pick right here, it's going to simulate the rest of the round. But just to look at the board, almost regardless of roster construction, I'm going to take Najee Harris regardless. Just due to running back scarcity, that's my philosophy. If you're in a spot to contend, which I guess 6 teams are per se, maybe 7, 8, I always go running back because then you could trade the running back for multiple receivers down the road. So I'm going to go Najee Harris here. It's going to simulate the rest of the round. Let's look at the draft board. Tyler, let's say that you've got the 2nd pick. Who are you taking? Would you go Jamar
Uh,
Chase?
Like I said, I would draft exactly how I would in real life. I like to add guys that I think are good and also that I like. I would go Devontae Smith.
Devontae Smith, interesting, interesting. Okay, so Devontae Smith goes number 2. If I'm picking at the 103 and Jamar Chase is still there, I'm going Jamar Chase at the 103.
I would go Waddle.
Your boy. That's crazy. Okay, dope. So then this is where it gets kind of funky for me. I kind of feel that there's another running back. So if we're at the 105, Travis Etienne is in that tier in terms of that top group of people. I think after Travis Etienne, I think it kind of dips down. So at the 105 right here, I would for sure take Travis Etienne.
Based on how much I know our league values everything, I would honestly here take Pitts with the sole thought of trading him
Sure.
right after the draft. So I would
Sure.
take Pitts and try and flip him for a haul.
Sure. There you go. And with how people, you're right, value tight ends, it's impossible. You probably couldn't even buy the 10th ranked tight end in our league for a first round pick. It's absurd. It's absurd. Okay, so that's basically the top tier of players. And if you played out like that, if I got Harris at the 101 or if I got Travis Etienne at the 104, I'd be pretty satisfied. Obviously, you would be satisfied. Or I'm sorry, Travis Etienne at the 106, I think, actually. Hold on. Let's get organized.
You get him at the 1-5.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I'm odds. So the 1-5, and you pick Pitts at the 1-6. Okay.
Yep.
So then, all right. So then that really, would you concur that that's kind of the top group? I mean, who else would you add in that group? The top 6.
Yeah, no, that's the top group for me. Absolutely.
Okay. So basically, I think there's a big drop off here. Knowing my strategy again, I think Javonte Williams and Rashad Bateman and Rondell Moore are like the next 3. But if my team was good the way it is now, and I picked up Najee Harris, I have McCaffrey, Kamara, Sanders, I would pick Trevor Lawrence at the 107 ahead of Javonte Williams, Rashad Bateman, and Rondell Moore. So I think first off, I used to think taking quarterbacks in the first round was totally unnecessary, but with how owners don't trade quarterbacks in this league and how valuable quarterbacks have become due to the high-powered offenses, I do not think it's a stretch to grab Trevor Lawrence, even as early as like the 106. So I take him at the 107 here.
Yep. Had you not taken him there, I would have at the 1-8. So yeah, I think that's a good pick. I would go Williams here.
Okay. I think that's a safe bet there. So you got Williams at the 108. For me, I would take Rashad Bateman. I think that he just has the highest opportunity at the 109.
Sure. And like I said, I mean, I'm basing this solely off my team. I would go Carter here.
Wow. There you go. That's crazy. So Michael Carter right there?
Yeah, I would, my RB core is not overly deep because I build around WRs. So yeah, if I had a bunch of late round picks, I'd start, and I was able to land Smith and Waddle, I'd start crushing RBs. Yeah.
Wow. So you would take Michael Carter over Trey Sermon?
Well, I'm hoping to get Sermon at the 12.
My man. Nice, dude. Nice. Okay. So honestly, and I'm kind of the opposite way. I need receivers. I would take Rondell Moore at the 111.
Okay. Yeah, and I would end the round with Sermon.
Not bad. Not bad at all. I think that's a pretty typical first round. I could see in running back needy like leagues, more people reaching for Carter and Sermon at like the 106, 107. But yeah, it's kind of getting difficult at this point now. If we were to progress into the second round, it would be very difficult to pick these next players because I don't think anybody's miles ahead of others. So I'd probably, even in a 1 quarterback league, I'd probably just load up on QBs. Justin Fields, Trey Lance, boom.
For sure, man. Well, and if you have a guy like me in your league that, reaches, but not absurd reaches with Smith and
Mhm.
Waddle, I mean, you can look at last year. In our draft, I went Judy 1. That forced Taylor down to 2. I
Mhm.
took CD Lamb at 3. That then pushed Swift, CEH, Akers, all those guys down to 4. That in most leagues, those guys probably aren't there. So, every league is very unique. Chase at most leagues is probably not there at 3, but I
Mhm.
mean, I honestly would take Smith at 2. So,
Yeah.
you might in your league end up having people that fall in love with players that maybe you don't know they do. And, that's why I'm always more of an advocate of trading when your pick's on the clock, because you have no idea who in theory could fall there.
Mhm. I think in more I guess standard leagues, I think, and not to knock you by any means, Tyler, but I think that the top three is going to be interchangeable between Najee Harris, Travis Etienne, and Jamar Chase. I really can't see Jamar Chase escaping the third pick overall. So if somebody like you moves up and grabs Devontae Smith, I mean, hey, you're putting a lot of faith, and I like that. I respect it. You know the rule. You got to get your guy. And most likely your guy will never be cheaper than the draft pick you spend on him. So it's always worth going for it, man.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see the consensus drafts because I'm with you, Brendan. I think up around the top is going to be Chase, Harris, ATN, but I honestly think we're going to come out of draft season, man. I think there's going to be a ton of people that take Pitts 1, 2, or 3. I think
I
he's
love
going to
it.
leap. I think he's going to leapfrog ATN in consensus completed drafts. I really do. I
I
think he's
love
going to
it.
go
I hate
crazy
that
high.
pick, but I love it because if you got like the 104 and somebody
Yeah.
does that in your league, my goodness, you better be giving them, I guess a high five or something because they just did you a huge solid taking Pitts before you.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm going to highlight last year's draft again. I mean, I went Judy, so Taylor dropped to 2. Then it was Lamb. And then, if I remember right, the person loved Swift. So it went Swift. So the guy at 5 or 6, I can't remember. I'd have to look at the results, got CEH, who was the consensus 1-1.
Wow.
You don't know how your draft's going to
And it's
go. And
not working out for him as much as getting Taylor,
yeah,
Dobbins,
he was
Lamb.
overdrafted anyways, in my opinion, around the community. But I mean, you got him in the mid first,
It's a
great
steal.
value,
It's a steal at that point,
Yep.
no lie.
So
Cool. Hey, well, Tyler, this is a great episode. I'm excited for when we collaborate with our buddies, and it'll be the first time doing something like that. So stay tuned, everyone. Tyler,
awesome.
anything you want to say before we sign off?
Just really looking forward to the Monday episode next week. It's going to be super fun. To all the moms out there, happy Mother's Day coming up this weekend. Don't forget, Brendan. And hope everybody
I love
has a
my
great
mom.
great rest of the week. And I've sent out a lot of bad trade offers, bad on my side, to try and lock up Smith and Waddle. So if anybody from our league's listening, 1-3-1-4, I'll make some bad trades. Let's get it done.
He's willing to overpay. Awesome. Tyler, great doing this as always. Thank you, everybody who's watching. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram at Halfback Dynasty. Shoot us an email. Hit us up on DLF, Dynasty League Football. We're pretty active. We're stirring up the pot there. So going against the grain with some community opinions. But thank you, everybody. Stay smooth, stay fresh, stay smiling. Keep on going. Just remember that you are in this for life. Ciao.